Hello, Zizarn here with another video, and Path of Exile have posted yet another announcement of improvements, so they're working pretty rapidly on iterating here. And yeah, I just wanted to read through it with you and then finally give my thoughts. Actually, I'll probably give my thoughts underway, but either way, let's look at it. This patch adds support for respeccing Ascendancy classes, Atlas bookmarks, new stash tab affinities, changes to terms and totems, as well as many other improvements and bug fixes. So respeccing Ascendancy is now allowed when you have as many as the trial you're doing. So if you've only gotten 4 points, then you have to do the second Ascendancy again. If you have 4 points, you will need to do the final Ascension one more time. This is really good, and that's fine. It's a little bit more difficult than PoE 1, but obviously, if you've already done it once, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it again. So that's fine. And it is relatively easy once you get the hang of it. Charm changes. Belt level 30 and above now have a implicit modifier with 1 to 2 charm slots, while belts 60 and above have 1 to 3 charm slots. This only affects new belts, and the explicit for additional charm slots can no longer roll. Surface, Genesis, and Ingenuity no longer have additional charm slots, though existing versions are not affected. Zizarn has intentionally kept its additional charm slots. In the future, we'll be expanding maximum possible charm slots to 6. Maximum or massively increase the values of prefixes that restore life, mana, or guard. You can update these with a divine, and all charms except Golden Charm have had their max charges halved and their charges per use halved, making them refill more quickly. So that's a buff. Base duration of Stone Charm has been increased. I'm obviously very excited for this change. It's something I brought up on the podcast where I asked if they had considered doing this change, and now it's here. So a lot of those things were maybe things they were considering internally anyway. And then when seeing community reaction to things brought up on podcasts, there was probably enough to nudge them over. So I'm obviously very excited about this one. Very good stuff. We're getting stash tab affinities for Suckables, Fragments, Breach, Expedition, and Ritual. And I'm a very big fan of them putting out affinities before stash tabs. I think they should be very careful about what stash tabs they put in and how often they put stash tabs in. There was one period in Path of Exile where we got the Delirium tab, then the next day we got the Metamorph tab, and then like we got the Blight tab, and we were like, hold up, 3 of these, 3 tabs? Stop it, you. We see what you're doing. And it really got to the point where it was almost like they were creating a problem and selling us the solution, which we're not a fan of. That's not really to the GGG we know. Anyway, they responded pretty well to the backlash, and they have since been a lot more generous with the new leagues having their own free stash tab as opposed to one they're selling. Now, that being said, I don't mind the occasional one, like one a year or something, but there's a happy medium here. Atlas bookmarks added the ability to bookmark locations on your atlas to find them easily later. Right-clicking a node will allow you to create a bookmark by picking an icon and optionally adding a label. And you can have up to 16. And you can view a list of bookmarks. This is really good and would be a really good thing for Delve. And frankly, that is how I think about the endgame. I think of it as Delve. So I think it would be a really good like endgame Delve system. I really do prefer the PoE 1 mapping system. Not that it has to be identical, but I guess I'm not a fan of the main endgame system being procedurally generated and infinite. I really like the like progression that the PoE 1 Atlas does. So hopefully we do end up having both types of systems in PoE 2, even if they have different spins on them. But I do think the current Atlas is just a way better version of Delve, and bookmarks is a great thing for that. Endgame changes. Pinnacle bosses now have unlimited respawn attempts at difficulty 0. Was not expecting that. Huge fan of it. This is very similar to how Eater and Exarch is in PoE 1, where if you fail, you can just do another tier 16 and go again. This is even more generous than that. It is awesome because it will let new players be able to infinitely practice the boss and actually get good. So I think that's really good. Very wonderful. Obviously, once you go into difficulty 1 or higher, which in theory should have been a loot, then it's portals again. Tower and hideout maps now have a higher minimum number of rare monsters that can spawn. The final rare will drop a map of the same tier. So obviously a big issue, particularly with Mesa, was that there was nothing there. Nothing in Mesa. Added UI tracking for rare and unique monsters, unique maps, tower, and hideout. Cool. Crafting changes. As each new rune tier is unlocked, we're removing the lower ones from the drop pool. This is to stop you from getting spammed with lesser runes at high levels. So lesser no longer drop at 31 and medium at 52. So you should be getting more greater runes than currently, but you probably will be getting less total, but less busy work. So probably a big W. Rogue Exiles will always have appropriate tier runes socketed into dropped items. This is just fun. Scepters can have sockets, and we've added a new set of talisman modifiers for scepters. Excited to see what those are. Totem changes, which impacts my build for people who are playing Artillery Ballista quite a lot. At gem level 20, they have 75 all res and 35 chaos res. They're obviously falling over to elemental damage very hard. And Ironwood has plus 10 max res now. I feel like there's a large difference between max res in PoE 1 and PoE 2, where I don't feel like they do the same. And a lot of people are saying there's probably a lot more pen in PoE 2, and yeah, pen basically ignores your res, which would make sense too with the fact that Jonathan said that the game is balanced around 0 resists. Because in PoE 1, when you have 90 max res, you feel borderline immortal to elemental damage. PoE 2, I have 90 max res and I still died to fire damage. Light stun changes. Moderately reduce the capacity for monsters to light stun you, especially towards cruel and endgame, by lowering the amount of stun damage they deal and increasing the minimum they must deal to light stun you. Additionally, LE chaos and range stun damage has been penalized even further. You're less likely to be stunned by random stray projectiles. Cool. And it does not affect our stuns. We've added a cluster to the passive skill tree near CI that allows you to invest a heavy amount into stun and ailment threshold based on your energy shield. Good. Player changes. Shard Scavenger, in addition to its current effects, will now restore 1 cooldown of all your grenades. Cool. Shockwave Totem base attack time is now 1.5 instead of 3. Wow. That should make that a lot more viable. Shockwave Totem, if I remember, does have a bit of an issue with mana, because the best way to scale it obviously is gem level, and you do ideally want plus 14 gem level then onto 200s. But then honestly, that should be a really good build, probably a good boss killer. Wow. Now they have lowered the damage. Slam deals 211 attack damage instead of 369. Jagged Eruption is unchanged. Okay, and quality is worse. Okay, I mean, it'll feel a lot better for mapping at least, which was a big issue a lot of people had with it. A lot less damage though. Frozen Locust can now be used while using other skills to interrupt what you're doing, similar to dodge roll. Does not allow you to dodge incoming hits. You will now shield bash if you release raise shield after blocking a hit from a faraway attacker if there is a different enemy in shield bash range. Stormlance is now able to be supported by ground effect related supports. Raise shield can be supported by conk effect. Fire exposure, lightning exposure have had their wording. To make clear, their effects apply to any target, not just enemies. Whirlwind Lance and Whirlwind keyword hover now clarify Whirlwind's collapse deal melee damage. Improve the visual effects of the Arc Explosion, and Glacial Lance is now able to chain off terrain. Improvements and other changes. Added and equipped gems change to the gem cutting interface to make leveling up cross-class skill gems more convenient. So nice. So nice. Added rarity borders to items available to purchase from vendors. That sounds great. So you can see if an item is rare or not. Just at a glance. Nice. Greater runes of teeth. Now provides 1 to 100 lightning thorns instead of 1 to 10. Thorns just keep taking W's. Attribute runes now have a more appropriate gold value. Breach hands can drop splinters at all levels. Shrines are easier to click on. Monster changes. Some endgame monsters can no longer interrupt their attacks if you move out of range to relentlessly chase you. That's good. Sarok is less hostile towards your minions. Immersed Fury is also less likely to target minions. Ground effect should more reliably be removed. Aztec Brutes, Maulders, and Stalkers and Undead Valguards have had the frequency that their skills at ground slams be reduced and cooldowns increased. Adjusted the behavior of the 180-degree cleave skill to prevent them using them multiple times sequentially. Yeah, that one does a lot of damage. The composition of monster packs in Jikani, Sanctum, Agarot, and Utsal has been adjusted to reduce the amount of ranged skills being hurled at the players. Adjusted the frequency and damage of ice shards from shrines. Behavior of venomous crabs, matriarchs, and constructed spitters. Val form shift now has less damage reduction while in shape-shifted form. Fettered spider explodes on death less often. Adjusted the damage of Goliath and Val Goliath monsters. Adjusted the damage of Stone Sentinel. Nice. Just like a lot of monster nerfs in general. Are there any important bug fixes? Fixed a bug where players were gaining 1% of their evasion rating as armor at all times. Huh? This also fixes a bug where the iron reflexes were not providing the correct amount of armor. Fixed a bug where Ripwire, Ballista, and Dark Effigy were not displaying in totem stats. Corruption modifier to the level of Bind, Spectre, and Tame Beast could be lost upon binding. They were not supposed to? Fixed a bug where enemies chilled by your hits take damage was causing enemies to take reduced damage. Fixed a bug where the Black Doubt would remove mana if you're on full life with the Lich Ascendancy. Fixed a bug where disengage could fail to trigger a shockwave from parried enemies. Fixed a bug where drained ailments were not granting immunity to the consumed ailment. Drain ailment would consume a single copy where the target had multiple copies on them. Embitter support did not apply damage. Okay. Well, not the same type at least. Firestorm was not triggering Shard Scavenger when consuming ignites. Volcanic Fissure did not cause an aftershock. Staggering Palm was not working with Impact Shockwave. Chaining and returning projectiles starting position could desync. The last charge of Smithic Katava Temper was able to cause multiple explosions. Glacial Lance did not scale with area damage. Meditate could be interrupted by a non-damaging hit. Gathering Storm was not a quarterstaff skill. Refraction was not working properly. Curses through map modifiers were not being reapplied if you died and respawned at a checkpoint. Attribute runes could not be socked in wands and staves. Unique charms could not be chanced. The Spirit of the Bear as Mary Spirit was targetable and could be damaged. Don't hurt the bear. Hurting us. As a monster, Shaman would not use most of their skills when it became a Spectre. There's quite a few of those. There's some that are just entirely disabled too that maybe will come later. Smith's Masterwork Ascendancy notable skill had a refund cost. Runes were not being displayed on wands and staves. Could prevent you from progressing. The power awaits if you respawn at a checkpoint after the Arbiter died. Algrim's Legacy unique Strongbox was required to be slain in order to fulfill a kill or rare objective. Savannah map boss wasn't being sealed off when the fight began. Ah, so you just run away. The stairs to the exit in Act 3 final arena wouldn't reappear after defeating the boss. Applies to the map versions. Whirling Slash visually remained when the gem was leveled up. The storms, right? Lightning Wraith monsters were dealing less damage than intended. Rafik of the Frozen Springs was dealing significantly more damage than intended. Skelly Spriggans, Chimera Wetlands. Ball Lightning could not be supported by Chain. And a few other like not super important changes, and obviously they fixed some crushes client and instance wise. Pretty good. A lot of great changes here. I'm particularly excited for the Ascendancy change. But in general, what I love the most about this is the fact that they're been iterating and updating us so fast. And they reacted really well to feedback. Obviously, most of the things we talked about on the podcast are changing now, which terrific. Really, really good change. So yeah, just keep updating the game and it's going to keep getting better. Obviously, a lot of players have reported that they really want loot looked into, and yet loot does not feel super good. But either way, thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video. More importantly, try to die less than I do.